Ready?
Ready.
Okay, we shall begin. So, welcome to the latest episode of Believe It or Not. This is the show where I trick Esther and hopefully you as an audience, and whereby I talk about a number of woke edicts and things in the news, but not all of them are true. And the game here is that you have to kind of work out truth from fiction.
And every time I get it right, every episode I get right.
Sorry,
Russell.
you've never got it right.
Russell, thank you for pointing that out.
You've never ever got it. We're on about episode 94 or something, and you've never got it right.
As I was saying, everyone I get right, I will be getting a Birkin bag.
Sure, in her own mind, she will be.
I will be getting a Birkin bag. You are my witnesses.
Sure. Okay. So should we begin?
I just want your word on that.
My word,
because I have
is
witnesses here.
That in your mind, you are definitely getting a Birkin bag.
And I'm going shopping with his wife because it's only right.
Yeah. Because my wife loves the thought of other women having Birkin bags bought by me.
Especially when she also gets one as well.
Yeah, sure. So it's 2 Birkin bags. Yeah, right. Okay.
Indeed.
Anyway,
15 grand.
Back to reality. So, number one, this week, latest episode. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Is this true? Is this not true?
Okay.
Scout leaders in Britain, so the Scout Association, have banned the following list of phrases. Ready?
Okay.
Man-made, falling on deaf ears.
What?
Dinner ladies, maiden name, down under, as it refers to Australia and New Zealand, and the phrase Chinese whispers, which has been altered to a game that they are now terming, while I'm laughing still, broken telephone. So the Scout Association of Britain have gone all woke and have banned those following those.
I don't understand
phrases.
down under, because surely if we called it penal colony, that would be even more rude.
Well, we just call it prison, right? It's a prison island. It's like Russell and Escape from New York, because that's basically what Australia and New Zealand.
I cannot say anything to that because I will probably get sued. I don't understand the Chinese whispers thing, because I thought they would they'd have chosen a different nationality.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you
Spanish mumbles.
If you really if you really want to be convoluted, I suppose, in terms of really trying to find offence in something that's really quite innocent, then you would say that Chinese whispers is offensive to the Chinese on the basis that the premise of the game is that it's an unintelligible type of dialect and dialogue, whereby you end up saying something other than what the original phrase was, right? So if you really think about that and stretch it out as something offensive, I guess it could be offensive.
Which is weird, because I feel like Japanese is more whispery than Chinese. Like Chinese, you can hear it from a mile away. I feel like Japanese, like,
but Chinese, say that again?
No, nothing.
Chinese.
My best friend is Japanese, so I'm not going to get in trouble for doing that.
Not anymore.
Oh, she's fine.
So
she's
Chinese
fine.
whispers, which look, it is just colloquial, right? It's just the thing that we say about a game where you whisper around in a room and you go from saying, I like pie, to all of a sudden it comes out the other end as,
blue as the sky.
I'm going to die, or whatever. It's a fun game, but the Scout Association think that it should be retermed broken telephone instead.
That's so unfun. You know what? They could have said, like, I don't know, Korean murmurings. Yeah. That was just.
And how do we feel about them manipulating falling on deaf ears? So is
that ableist?
They believe that it's offensive to deaf people on the basis that falling on deaf ears is some sort of insult. I mean, of course it's not. It's just, again, a colloquial throwaway term, isn't it?
I don't understand that. I feel like if you're going to do this, at least try and be funny about it. Like, what's offensive about man-made?
And this, by the way, the Scout Association of Britain, they've also introduced a badge. This is a bonus, by the way.
If it has rainbow colours.
Kind of. I haven't actually seen the badge. I'm hoping that it's now appearing over my left shoulder. It's called the Trans Fun Badge, and it's designed for children in the Scout movement as young as 4 years old. And I guess the premise of a Trans Fun Badge is that being trans is fun and okay, which it is, but to promote it to 4-year-olds by way of denoting it with a badge seems a little bit over the top, in my opinion.
There's nothing fun about being trans.
Well, I don't know. I've never tried it. So
well, I mean, the suicide rates in the trans community would suggest it's not a particularly fun undertaking.
Yeah, well,
but why? There's no such thing as a trans kid.
Well, at 4 years old, I don't think they probably know their own mind and sexuality enough to know whether they are or not.
They don't even know sexuality, period.
Yeah, but maybe
when I was a kid, I was attracted to Tarzan.
Tarzan?
Yes.
I think
Mostly because of the Phil Collins soundtrack, and I was like, "Put your faith in what you," and like swinging with Tarzan, and it was like in Africa as well. So we could go to the Monkeys, which was literally off my road.
I'd maybe suggest that seeing some of your boyfriends, that attraction hasn't gone away. Number 2.
I'm not going to dignify that with a response.
Number 2, California school board member has argued that the 4th of July Independence Day celebrations should be banned. Should be banned. Do you know why?
Why?
Because it celebrates the removal of an oppressive government, but says that there is still, by definition of all government, oppression in the United States, particularly over Roe versus Wade.
Are they anarchists? Are they like trying to get rid of governments, period?
No. So this person, I think, thinks that we shouldn't be celebrating something on the basis of Americans now being free, when the fact that there is a government means that therefore they're not free. So yes, I guess it is a version of anarchy.
Yeah, anarchy.
And they place this on their Facebook page. So this is a California school board member that obviously has a responsibility to be sensible and grown up and so on. And actually got a lot of support for it, that basically the 4th of July should be banned. It's a bit like saying Christmas should be banned because it's offensive to Muslims. Christian religions.
You see, the thing is, one thing that makes me sad is how ungrateful Americans are for living with. Like, I think America's a great country. I think the principles it's founded upon is great. I think their democracy has an incredible ability to pull itself back, or to sort of let go of the reins. I know people don't agree with Roe v. Wade.
Stupid things like electing Donald Trump.
Well, but the thing is, the stupider thing was trying to elect someone like Hillary Clinton, and they didn't.
The even more stupid thing was then electing Joseph Biden as the antidote to Trump.
Exactly, who is quite literally a corpse. But this is the thing. I know people don't. The elements of American politics people don't agree with, like the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. And I keep saying the argument is because I keep having these like sort of sexy abortion like statements on my thing saying we got less rights than guns. I don't give a shit what people's stance on abortion is. I don't even care about that, right? Because you can have that argument to the cows come home. The argument is, does the federal government have the right to, well, can they regulate something that's not explicitly a right in the Constitution? And the answer is no. And you can argue on that basis, argue in your states. And I think that will make America less divided.
So because do you think Roe versus Wade has made America less free?
No, I don't think it's made America less free. But the point here is, it gives the electorate more power because you have more of a direct say on it in your own state. And that's the argument. You're actually broadening democracy, because it could have been on anything, right? You could have reversed the sort of the Second Amendment and say you don't have the right to own guns, basically, to bear arms. And that would have gone back to the states, because each state will say, actually, you do have the right. Other states will say you don't have the right. And the local constituencies will be, well, constituencies British, local governments will be able to have a say on that, and local electorates will be able to have a say on that. And that's the point.
It's the problem with written constitutions, isn't it? That
it's so rigid,
they're written in the 16th or 17th century, and somehow you get these ardent advocates that 400 years later still think they should apply in exactly the same context as previously.
Exactly.
So thank goodness that Britain doesn't have a written constitution.
Well, yeah, that's one of the benefits as well, like the Fixed Term Parliament Act that was, repealed earlier this year. If we still had that, the Conservatives are screwed, because now they're saying the next election is 2025, and I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news, but our country's on fire.
Really, has much happened politically over the last
few days? Not really that much, just about 48 ministers resigning.
Yeah. Just to be clear, as we sit here filming this, we are now just out the other side of the Boris Johnson resignation, although he's still clinging on to the Downing Street door frame.
He's like a squatter.
Yeah.
And
it's like a bad stain. In fact, I've seen blackcurrant stains that are easy to get rid of.
Oh my gosh. He's, you know what, the antidote to getting Boris Johnson out of Downing Street is a cricket bat. Cricket bats can solve anything. I keep a cricket bat in the back of my car.
Yeah, or just a good bailiff, maybe. That's number two. Okay, so number 3, ready? As we whiz through these, the University of East Anglia, not that far away from me actually, as I'm an Essex boy, has added a trigger warning to the George and the Dragon. I was going to say fable, myth, but it's kind of more of a legend, isn't it, I suppose?
What is it?
The George and the Dragon. So, where George slayed the dragon, and, we now have St. George's Day, April the 23rd.
I didn't know this. I thought that was King Arthur. No?
No. He was definitely faked. They say George was actually a Roman soldier, but the myth is that he slayed a dragon and so on. So anyway, it's a legendary script.
Okay.
And St. George's Day is commensurate with that kind of that character and that piece of history. But the University of East Anglia now is saying that there should be a trigger warning because, of course, George slays the dragon, spoiler alert, and therefore they say that just before you start reading about George and the Dragon, you should be very careful and mindful as a student because there's violence involved. And also because he was a Roman soldier that refused apparently to denounce his Christianity, therefore the other trigger warning is that obviously the story story, the history involves religion. So just in case you might be offended by the fact that he stood his ground on being a Christian, kind of look away now. So even history, as you and I talked about before, is now being airbrushed.
I can't even hide the horror on my face and the disgust.
Yeah, and as if a student in their early 20s needs to be told that George and the Dragon, which most people have heard about, even though you haven't, needs to have some kind of cautionary tale applied to it, just in case you get offended.
But have these people not read Shakespeare or the story of Hamlet?
Shakespeare's bad. Everyone dies, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's more traumatizing. Or 1984, which I'm pretty sure they'll probably ban at some point as well. I mean, that's come with a trigger warning, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose when it comes to Russian Revolution, when it comes to First World War,
Second World War,
all of these things, maybe we should wrap them in cotton wool still further, because they might be a bit offending on the basis that, guess what, people died. That's the point of history, guys, is to know that bad things happen.
That's how you become history. You die.
History is about learning from those bad things rather than airbrushing it out so that it's somehow confined.
But what would you even
past history so that we don't any longer know it and learn from it?
But what would you call sad moments in history, like the Holocaust, the sadness, the really sadness, the super sadness, the Second World War? Like you can't do this. You can't sanitize history to make it less offensive.
No, because it needs to be as offensive and as horrific as it really was, so that we learn from it.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But not according to university standards.
I'm not surprised as a university though.
They want us to be a bit careful when it comes to talking about scary stuff in history. Number 4, Scrabble. You a Scrabble fan?
I am. I actually have a funny story about Scrabble. I don't know if it's appropriate to say it on here, but...
Well, shall I tell you what the thing is first, and you can see if it applies? So Scrabble themselves have banned 400 offensive words, including any that allude to gender identity. Now, I actually searched, and I can't actually find a list of the words, but I think we can kind of figure out what those 400 words would be. So these are words that now no longer score officially in Scrabble.
Like fireman.
Anything to do with male, female, or I guess anything that could be seen as in any way offensive. We can only speculate that those things, include, a bit like the Scout Association, things like manhole, management, and so on.
Manhole.
So Scrabble has gone completely nuts. But here's a quote from a director at Scrabble, right? Here's a quote.
Sorry.
What did you say?
Manhole.
Manhole. Yeah, that maybe has different meanings to Esther. So the man from Scrabble says... Should we just give her a minute? Have you got a picture in your mind of something other than what you should?
It's a manhole. With many manholes.
Many manholes. What sort of many have you been going out with? Okay, let's not go there. So this is from Scrabble. I've heard the argument, said the man of Scrabble.
Okay.
These are just words, but we believe that they have meaning. That's what Mattel, who owns Scrabble's global head of games, Ray Adler, said. And we need to modernise the game to make sure it doesn't offend.
Don't Mattel own Barbie?
Which is why you've now got disabled Barbie.
There's a fat Barbie. Mattel gave us fat Barbie. First of all...
So Mattel have gone woke.
I don't think you understand how my affinity to Barbie. I've seen all the Barbie films. I still watch them. I know all the songs. In university, my friend and I...
in another episode.
Literally, I used to make my ex buy me Barbies when they pissed me off. It's an institution, and they gave us fat. No wonder they've done this. Sons of bitches.
Yeah. But it's Mattel, isn't it? So whatever. I don't know what else they own, but
they need to stop owning stuff because they're ruining it.
Yeah, maybe if they own the Rubik Cube, maybe some of the colours, like yellow, is offensive to the Chinese. They're going to take yellow off the Rubik Cube.
It'd probably be red, wouldn't it? But that's a really popular colour in China.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's number 4.
So they've
removed 400 offensive words, but not just offensive words, so anything that alludes to gender identity. Just in case you're a man that's offended by women, or a woman that's offended by a man, or whatever bullshit. Anyway, next, there is within Parliament a thing called the Committee on Human Rights, which is chaired by Harriet Harman.
Okay.
Now I've said that, you know how bad that this particular one's going to get, right? So Harriet Harman has suggested, as chairman of the Human Rights Committee in the Houses of Parliament, that they set up some oversight, and that oversight person should be known as, wait for it, an ombudsperson.
A what?
An ombudsperson.
What is that?
Well, it's the woke term for an ombudsman.
What's an ombudsman?
What's an ombudsman?
Yeah.
Okay, let me explain. So an ombudsman is an oversight, regulator, type adjudicator, that if there's an issue in a certain sector, they come in and decide.
Like a referee.
Kind of. They decide whether a case is proven to be good or bad and can award compensation to
And
people.
instead of ombudsman, they're calling it an
Yeah, so
ombudsperson.
ombudsman, a bit like manhole, let's not go there again, is a kind of standard
You laughed.
term.
Admit you laughed.
Yeah. So ombudsman, right? It's not designed to be gender specific. It's just a term for someone that is in a position of oversight. But Harriet Harman thinks that it's offensive because it means that it excludes women. No, it doesn't, Harriet Harman. It doesn't do that at all. You're thinking that and putting that in the minds of people and making a political issue out of it, even though ombudsman is just a standard word that happens to have the letters M-A-N in it. Get over yourself.
But the thing is, it's mankind. It's humankind, right? If every time something has, makes reference to man, well, it's probably the biblical reference. Woman is from man.
So the term man is mentioned throughout the Bible, as I understand. Not that I'm a massive reader or advocate of the Bible. So what do? Rip up the Bible and say that this is completely offensive now to
blasphemy,
society?
haram.
Because it uses the word man.
Haram.
By man, we mean all-encompassing.
Humankind.
Right?
Mankind.
Right. So that's another load of horseshit from the World of Woke and Harriet Harman, who is renowned for such horseshit things, actually.
Clearly.
Next.
Okay.
St. Edith's Preparatory School.
Which one is this? Is the sixth one?
This is the sixth one. This is the last one.
Okay.
And bear in mind, some of these are potentially true, some maybe not. I'm not even going to tell you
how many are fake?
No, I'm not going to tell you.
No, you can't do that because...
Yeah, I can.
It's usually
you should be able to work out which one's the most ridiculous, right? Or not.
They're all ridiculous.
That's the point, isn't it? So, number 6.
Okay.
St. Edith's Preparatory School in Cornwall has decreed that school uniform is now to be gender neutral. And it's to ban skirts for girls because they are too gender specific and indicative of an outdated attitude to females that is both misogynistic and oppressive. I'm
saying this now, if this is true, every single parent at that school needs to complain because I don't want to see my son in a skirt. Actually, they won't leave my house in a skirt. And my daughter will wear a skirt.
I think the local authority responsible here is Liberal Democrat, so that probably gives us a bit of a clue as to its authenticity.
I mean, this is horrifying. Is no one else horrified?
Yeah, I am.
This is. I made this.
It's ridiculous. It's basically, but what does it do for women's rights when you're telling girls and women that they can't wear a skirt?
No, but what the logic here is, they're saying, for students questioning their gender, this makes them feel comfortable. And I made a joke on Twitter saying, questioning your gender, the idea of questioning your gender is a strictly Western idea. Because if I told my mom I'm questioning my gender, she'd be like, "Why are you not questioning why there are dishes in my sink?"
But don't we think that someone...
she would not entertain that.
So maybe I'm not quite as right wing as you, Esther.
You're worse.
I know. I believe very passionately that someone can assign themselves their own gender. They can't assign themselves sex on the basis of their biology.
What does assign themselves their own gender mean?
So they can decide if they want to be one thing or the other. But what you can't
That's called personality.
You can't have society, authority, corporations and government telling people whether they can wear a skirt or not, or that they should have to use a particular type of pronoun. That is enforcing kind of a gender argument on a population. They should be able to do what they want themselves without being harassed into it by the upper echelons of society.
But isn't the whole first of all, I don't even agree that you can choose your gender. I think it's called personality, right? You have gender for me is interchangeable with sex, right? There's no you can choose your gender. You have a personality. You can be a guy that likes to wear dresses. You can do whatever, fine. Don't ask me to call you he, she, they, or whatever. I'll just probably call you by your name because I can't be bothered to get into that whole argument. But the idea that a uniform is supposed to be the great equalizer, right? You're supposed to wear a uniform, so there's
that's what they're saying.
No, but this is not an equalizer. If they're men in skirts, if they're boys wearing skirts,
boys can't wear. I mean, I suppose the other side of this is they could have said boys should now be able to wear skirts, and I guess one or two of them would then do that. No, this is the other side of that. This is saying no one can wear a skirt. You have to wear gender neutral uniforms, which means everyone has to wear trousers, so that everybody is kind of conformist in some kind of Mao type way from the
I wouldn't have minded that actually, because then I didn't have to shave my legs.
Okay, that's one way of looking at it. So anyway, that's our 6. That's our 6. So do you want me to recap?
Yes, please. Okay.
So from the world of woke horror this time, the Scout leaders have banned the following list of phrases: man-made, falling on deaf ears, dinner ladies, maiden name, down under, and Chinese whispers as being totally offensive. The California School Board membership, one of them, has argued that that US should ban the 4th of July celebrations because the land of the free is not free, apparently. The University of East Anglia has triggered that, or suggested a trigger warning that George and the Dragon should be met with caution because it's violent and might offend people of a non-Christian belief.
Background, yeah.
Scrabble has banned Not 100, not 200, not 300, but 400 offensive words, including those that allude to gender identity. Harriet Harman's Joint Committee on Human Rights has said that they are going to put in place not an ombudsman, but an ombudsperson. And St Edith's Preparatory School in Cornwall, a Liberal Democrat local authority, has decreed that school uniform is to be gender neutral, and it's banning skirts for girls as too gender specific and indicative. I love this quote. And is indicative of an outdated attitude to females that is both misogynistic and oppressive. So
that makes my brain hurt.
So, which ones do you think are true? Do you want to recap? Do you want to have a little look just to refresh your memory?
Okay, so I think because you said it's a Liberal Democrat constituency, I think the St. Edith's one is true, of like the school banning skirts for girls. Yeah, because it sounds something moronic.
What else?
I think the University of East Anglia trigger warning is true as well, because it's a university and they've all gone woke now, and I didn't long come out of uni, so I can totally believe that.
Yeah. So which one do you think isn't true?
I'd like to believe the first one isn't true. Scouts banning stuff like Chinese whispers.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, no! No, my bacon!
That bag is even further away.
Oh, no!
Scout leaders banning this list of phrases. That's true. That's happened literally in the last few days. And they also really do have a trans fun badge. A trans fun badge. They actually have that thing for those scouts, cubs, whatever they are at that age, 4 years old and above. You can wear it with pride. Wear it with pride. See what I did there?
I would sue.
Okay.
First of all, can we have like a month of shame after Pride?
So
can we make that a thing?
So shall I run through these then? So number one, Scout leaders. That's true.
Okay.
California school board member argues for banning 4th of July Independence Day celebrations.
That's probably true.
True.
I can believe that.
University of East Anglia trigger warning, George and the Dragon, you're right, is true.
Okay.
Scrabble, banning 400 words that are apparently offensive, which they're not. That's true. Harriet Harman's Joint Committee on Human Rights.
That's false.
It's true.
Wait,
one
what?
That isn't true is St Edith's Preparatory School in Cornwall. Sorry, St Edith's, if you.
How do you even come up with these schools? Oh, I hate you.
I know. It just sounds like such a genuine thing, doesn't it?
And you said Liberal Democrat. No, he cheated. I made that
up as well. No, I think Cornwall is predominantly Liberal Democrat.
He cheated.
Yeah, all for you, Cornwall. So St Edith's Preparatory School probably doesn't even exist. And even if it did, if there is one, sorry, but they have not yet banned school uniforms and that involve skirts.
That's not fair.
Victory is mine once again. Can I just turn this round? Look at the look of hate on her face. If you win, which I think we're in episode 173 now, and you haven't won one yet, you get something. What do I get for winning every week?
The joy of gloating and me not taking off my heel and beating you with it.
Fair enough. No, the gloating thing is well worth it, actually. Okay, so that's my 6. I win again.
So tune into the next one. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't be rude.
She's saying it so dismissively.
We're done here. We're done here.
Because she's a bit hurt, a bit sore. But doesn't this just...
It's the Harrods sale right now as well, so I was really ready.
Doesn't this just sum up, though, that the world of woke we live in is so ridiculous we can't even... Someone as smart as this political commentator can't even work out what's true and what's fiction. Until next time.
Yeah.